know. Glad to be here. Thank you.
All right, John McAfee, a pioneer in cybersecurity antivirus software, says he can unlock the Apple iPhone and is offering his team services free of charge in a new Business Insider op-ed. Founder of McAfee Associates writes, "I will, free of charge, decrypt the information on the San Bernardino phone with my team. We will primarily use social engineering, and it will take us 3 weeks. If you accept my offer, then you will not need to ask Apple to place a backdoor in its product, which will be the beginning of the end of America." The often controversial, always outspoken John McAfee joins us now with details of his offer. John, good to have you here. I want to get to your offer, but first I want to explore a little bit more of this idea that you're so concerned about what the government has asked Apple to do. You say it's worse than handing over the codes for our nuclear capability to the Chinese and the Russians. You say that it would be one of the this is a black day and the beginning of the end of the U.S. as a world power. Really? I mean, you think it's that high a stakes situation?
Well, listen, a backdoor to encryption is like a master key, only it's in software. You can make 1 million copies of it for free. There has never been a backdoor that has not been hacked into by bad hackers or foreign nations. So really what the government is asking Apple to do is to make every individual who uses an iPhone susceptible to hacking by bad people, foreign governments, and anyone who wants. It's not just the FBI. Here's the problem. The FBI says, oh, well, we can keep it secret. That's utter nonsense. Utter nonsense. There are no secrets. There are none. There's always a bad apple somewhere. And you know there won't be just one copy. There will be hundreds of copies. And the more copies there are, the more likelihood that the bad people will get it. Now just imagine, if hackers had access to every encrypted communication on the iPhone, we would be losing our money. We would be losing our Social Security information. Everything about us would be known by the wrong people. Sure, the FBI would know, but so would everybody else.
The emotional response is, a lot of people come back and say, what if there is information on that phone that could prevent a future terrorist attack? Doesn't that offset the concerns?
No, it doesn't. We're on the verge of a cyber war with China. China has already taken 21 million records from the Office of Personnel Management last year of every employee who ever worked for the U.S. government. No greater coup of espionage has ever happened in the history of the world. Keep in mind, a cyber war is going to be many times more devastating than any nuclear war you can imagine. Our entire infrastructure will be shut down. Now you weigh that against what the FBI is asking. And it's not that the FBI cannot get into the phone. I offered to get into it with my team. It is easy on one phone to do it without creating a backdoor. It is nonsense to ask a computer manufacturer, a telephone manufacturer, to give a backdoor which we know.
So John,
all the bad hackers.
What I don't understand is you say that you can do this and do this for this one specific phone, and Apple's making the case that it would have to create a whole new operating system, which would essentially be the backdoor. No. So why can't Apple just say that they're going to do what you're going to do and unlock this one phone?
Because that's not what the FBI wants. The FBI wants a back door. That's the way that they have asked to get into it. If they just asked that, here, we'll give you the phone, you tell us what's in it, that's great. They did not do that. I am now forcing the hand. I'm saying, okay, you say you only want it for this one telephone? Perfect. Give me the telephone. I'll tell you exactly what's in it. My team and I. Any team of great hackers can do that. So no, they have not taken me up on that. They want a backdoor. Backdoors into encryption are the worst thing.
How do you know that what you do would be safe? Because you say if Apple does whatever it does, then it could be replicated, somebody else could get a hold of it. Why couldn't the same be applied to whatever you're going to do to the phone?
Because we're not putting a backdoor in. We're taking a telephone apart physically. We're going to be copying all of the digits onto some other device and working it that way. That can't be replicated. It's going to be worked over and over again for each individual phone. It would take anybody 3 weeks to do one phone. That's not a problem. But to have a key that could access hundreds of millions of phones, that's a problem. It is a serious problem, and one that the FBI has simply ignored and our government has ignored. It's not a matter, I mean, whether or not it's right that the FBI should be listening to all of our conversations is a completely moot point. Do we want the Chinese, the Russians, and all the bad hackers to do it? Do we want the bad hackers to have access to our bank accounts, our credit cards, our Social Security numbers? They will have that.
I'm going to assume
yes.
The phone is in government hands already, right? It's in police evidence
yes.
somewhere. I'm assuming
yes.
then that the FBI must have probably tried to get into the phone prior to begging Apple for help.
Of course.
And obviously
course.
failed. What
yes.
can we read into U.S. government technological capability from this?
We are 20 years behind the rest of the world. And here is why. All of the great hackers are not the type of people who want to wear suits, shine their shoes, and show up to work at 8 o'clock every day. Many of them are very asocial. They have their own style. They want to smoke weed while they work, or whatever. This is not conducive to being hired by the FBI. The FBI and our entire government has become a bureaucracy, sick, tired, and old as far as technology is concerned. This has to change. Do you think the Chinese think twice about hiring a hacker with a mohawk or a tattooed face? No.
What do you think, John? What do you think? It just happened that this was an iPhone, so it's an Apple product. What if it was a Samsung phone? What if it was a Galaxy? Do you think the South Korean government would do this?
Of course not. Of course they would not put a backdoor in, because that would be idiotic. And neither will Google, I hope, into their Android system. See, here is the fundamental problem. If Apple falls, so will Android and Google, and so will everyone. And we are then in a world of hurt. We will be defenseless as a nation in the up-and-coming cyber war. And as a people, we will lose everything to the hackers who go, oh, heavens, we don't have to do any work anymore. We've got the back door to go into. Think about this for a minute. Think about the implications of every man, woman, and child, everything about your life being open to the bad people in the world. It's not the FBI, it's the bad people. Now, we can talk about the FBI if you wish. I personally don't want the FBI into my life. I think that privacy is an innate right, and not just that, society cannot exist without it. You don't realize that you exercise privacy 100 times a day. When you check out something from the grocery store, you don't tell that person the intimate secrets of your life. You may tell your wife everything. You may tell your boss only those things which will ensure that you'll get a raise or a promotion.
John?
Privacy is necessary for the glue that keeps us together.
You compare, in your op-ed, you compare hackers to the equivalent of students at Juilliard, that there's a brilliance that is somehow in their DNA. Can you embellish that? What do you mean by that?
I didn't compare them to students at Juilliard. What I said was that Juilliard cannot create a Mozart or a Bach. This is an inherently genetic thing. There are mathematicians who are born with the capacity to multiply 2,000-digit numbers in their head instantly. It is a unique talent. There are hackers that have this talent, that can look at a piece of code and disassemble it in their minds. These are the type of people I work with. I promise you, none of them are working for the U.S. government. And they need to. We are behind. A cyber war is coming, and we are ill-prepared. 20 years behind.
I appreciate those sentiments completely. I mean, I did a cybersecurity documentary a few years ago, and I'd like to think that I understand that the cyber war threat is very real and could, in fact, be imminent. But we are living in a world which saw, for instance, the impact of a Stuxnet, for instance. Why is this that much more detrimental in your view, which would cause the world as we know it, or whatever terminology you're using, to come to an end, when we've seen very destructive worms exist out there that did not bring the destruction that it could have?
It's because we're talking about cell phones. We all have one. We carry them with us. And when they become compromised, they are watching us, listening to us, and people within government